Today, you're about to discover all 6 levels of thinking, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand, and more importantly, how to level up. Let's start at the bottom, level 1T, remembering this is the foundation, the shallowest layer of thinking. At this level, you're just memorizing facts. You might remember what someone told you, but you don't truly understand it. Think about your old history class. You probably remember that World War II ended in 1945. But do you know why it happened? Why those specific countries were involved? Why certain events spiraled into a global war? Most people can parrot the facts, but ask them why it matters, and their brain hits a 404 error. This is the trap. People at this level often mistake knowledge for intelligence. They're great at trivia, but clueless when it comes to meaning or context. And unfortunately, most people stay stuck here forever. Content to collect facts like Pokémon cards. But if you're still watching this, you're not most people. So let's go deeper. Level 2I, understanding. Now we're getting into real thinking. At this level, you're not just remembering things, you're actually grasping them. Let's use a simple example: math. Level 1 thinking says 2 plus 2 equals 4. Cool. But level 2 asks, why does 2 plus 2 equal 4? You start to see how numbers interact. You understand the logic behind the equation. More importantly, you begin to see how this knowledge shows up in real life, in cooking measurements, in splitting bills, in making smart financial decisions. This level feels powerful. You feel smart. But there's a hidden danger. Understanding doesn't mean you can actually do anything. You might explain something brilliantly, but can you apply it when it counts? That's the difference between the thinkers and the doers. Level 3A, applying. Now we're talking. At this level, you stop collecting facts and start using them. You don't just understand how a car works. You fix one. You don't just study marketing strategies. You run ads, test campaigns, and tweak until something converts. You don't just read books on business. You launch one, make mistakes, and figure it out on the fly. This is where theory meets action. And truth be told, most people never reach this stage. Why? Because they treat knowledge like trophies. They read the books, watch the videos, and flex what they know, but they never apply any of it. They're information hoarders, smart in theory, useless in practice. But you're not here to collect facts. You're here to level up. And the next level, that's where things really start to shift. You know those people who binge, watch every documentary, read stacks of self-help books, blast motivational podcasts during every commute. Yeah? Their lives don't change, because even though they're learning constantly, they never apply any of it. But here's the real twist. Even application isn't the highest level of thinking. In fact, stopping there is dangerous, because if you apply the wrong ideas without questioning them, you can end up charging full speed in the wrong direction. That's where we enter level 4A, analyzing. Now we're getting into high-level thinking. At this stage, you stop blindly accepting information and start breaking it apart. You question the logic. You dig into the details. You don't trust something just because a so-called expert said it. Let's say you read a shocking headline. A level 1 thinker just repeats it. A level 2 thinker understands what it says. A level 3 thinker might apply it by changing their behavior. But a level 4 thinker, they pause and asks, who wrote this? What's their agenda? Where's the evidence? They don't just take things at face value. They zoom in, zoom out, and question the full picture. This is the level where you start to see through the noise. Political speeches. You hear the manipulation. Clickbait ads. You spot the tricks. Everyday conversations. You catch the bias, the spin, the emotional bait. And once you start analyzing at this level, you can't unsee it. But hold on. Breaking things down is only half the equation. Because what you do after the analysis, that's what separates good thinkers from great ones. Level 5D, evaluating. This is the level of leaders, strategists, investors, the people who make tough decisions and actually get them right. Here, you don't just analyze information, you judge it. You decide what's actually worth believing and what's garbage dressed up in confidence. You compare ideas. You weigh pros and cons. You make decisions based on logic and evidence, not feelings or hype. Let's say you're choosing between 2 business strategies. A lower-level thinker goes with the one that feels right, the popular one, the one that sounds cool in a podcast. But a level 5 thinker, they look at the data, compare models, run the numbers, and then choose the option that actually works, even if it's not flashy. This is also the level where most debates collapse. People argue for hours, not because one side is wrong, but because neither side is actually evaluating. They're stuck applying or analyzing ideas without zooming out to ask which argument holds more weight, which evidence is stronger. What's the bigger picture? This is high-level thinking, and it's rare. But there's still one more level to go. And that's where thinking becomes truly creative. Once you reach this level, your ability to think clearly, make smart decisions, and outmaneuver 99% of people skyrockets. But there's one final step. The level that separates the world's greatest thinkers from everyone else. Level 6C creating, this is the highest form of thinking, the place where true genius lives. At this level, you don't just consume knowledge. You create it. You don't just understand ideas, you build new ones. You don't just solve problems. You invent solutions no one's ever seen before. Think of history's most legendary minds. Einstein didn't just study physics, he rewrote it. Beethoven didn't just play notes. He composed symphonies that still echo centuries later. Steve Jobs didn't just use tech. He reinvented entire industries. These people lived at level 6. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't ask, what's already out there? They asked, what's possible if I create something new? This is the level where breakthroughs are born, where movements start, where legacies begin. But here's the truth most people never hear: you don't start at this level. No one does. You have to climb. From remembering K to understanding, Guy to applying, Gay to analyzing, G to evaluating, and then finally, to creating. And the only way up: challenge yourself, get uncomfortable, think harder, ask better questions, fail, learn, repeat. Because the moment you stop coasting, the moment you stop settling for just remembering facts and quoting gurus, you start becoming the kind of thinker the world remembers. So, what level are you on right now? And more importantly, what are you going to do next?